let's make leopard. Okay, so I'm gonna first show you, I'm gonna show you how to make the leopard pattern using a traditional color scheme first, but I'll outline where these colors are gonna be designated in the pattern so you can decide for yourself what colors you wanna use. So, I thought I had some leopard here to show you, but I don't, oh, here it is, okay. So this is a teeny tiny version. So this is ultimately what we're making. So this off-white is the base color. This camel brown color is the inside spot, and the black is the outside spot, all right? You can use literally whatever combination you want to do inside your own leopard, and I'm actually going to be testing doing just like a pastel leopard or a brighter leopard that's not traditional with the technique that I'm ultimately going to teach you in the marbling technique. So this is what we're making. You can also make this as small or as big as you want, truly. I'll show you about what size this ends up making. This is 2 bars, so a half of a brick. This is a whole brick. I used 2 bars to make about this much black. This is 3 bars. This is a mix of latte and sienna to make this color. And then this is a mix of Primo White, Igloo, and Latte to make this off-white color. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, the next step is to take our inside spot color and our outside spot color and roll them out into snakes. You'll want your inside spot color to be just slightly thicker than your outside spot color. So see how this one is bigger? I hand roll these because I want these to be organic shapes. You can 100% use your extruder because the next step that we're gonna do is make them even more organic. So now that you have your 2 colors, your inside spot and your outside spot, you're gonna take your bigger piece, your inside spot, and you're going to first go down the whole line and just smush it like this. Literally, you can't mess this up. Keep it organic. Keep it natural. You're making just the organic shapes of the spots right now. And this is one of the really, really important steps that help you get that organic spot look. So we're just gonna go down the entire strip of our inside spot and do this. And it's okay if there's various places in here that are thicker or thinner than the others. It's totally fine. Okay, that one's done. You're gonna do the exact same thing to your outside spot color. Here it's our black. See how this part is like significantly thinner? It's totally fine. Just like shmush, shmush. It seems to be like our go-to word when I do tutorials is shmush. So you're just gonna go all along the entire strip. See, I'm just imprinting and I'm making it not tubular because we don't want perfect spots. Ignore my janky nails. Okay, so now that this is, both of these are smooshed out, we're going to add the outer spots to the inside spots. So we just like pick a side and you just gotta kind of like, again, you can't mess this up. And I'm just like pressing it on to the brown. Okay, so I'm going to cut mine off here just for the sake of the tutorial, because, and take your black, you kind of flip this around and you add more of your outside spot color. You want to try to do 3 outside spot colors so you can get 2 to 3 edges, okay? So just do it all the way down. You can leave gap, you can bump up your black, like it's totally fine. Again, you can't mess it up. So I'm going to find where there's the most brown exposed and lay more black. Okay, so now that we have that, you could always go in and add more, like if you felt like there was not enough outside color. But what we're gonna do next is then take this strip, ideally it's like a lot longer than this, and you're gonna smush this all together. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. I like to kind of go through just really quickly and then go back through and just kind of like add in a couple extra smooshes if I feel like it needs it. Smushy smush. Okay, now let's move on to the next step. Okay, so now we're gonna actually make our whole thing come together. So I've taken my outer color, my base color. This is my light taupe, light tan, off-white, whatever you want to call it. And it's set to about a little less than 2 millimeters, probably 1.5. So it's like thin, definitely thinner than what I would cut earrings, but not too thin that it's tearing easily, okay? So then I'm just gonna go through one more because I'm just gonna make these a little bit smaller. Do a little bit more smushing. The skinnier you make these, obviously the longer your strip is gonna be, the smaller your spots are gonna be. The thicker you leave it, the bigger your spots are gonna be. Play with it, see what you like. Okay, so now we are just gonna take some and press it into the base. And then fold it into itself. And then we just repeat this in like a layering way over and over again. So I'll put one here. I always like to leave, like I wouldn't put 2 next to each other because that's going to be 2 spots right next to each other with no base color in between. So I always like to leave like some room to have the base color. But like this, again, you can't mess this up. And just like move this slab around and add more where you need it. Tear it off. I might do like 2 there and then like press the base color in between those 2. Press it there so I can see a gap here that I can lay some spots. Press it. And we're gonna make this like smoother in the end, so it can be lumpy like this right now. so that's all the spots that I have. I would keep going, like keep going to make it more, but I will just show you with what I have now where we're at. So I'm actually gonna use what I have and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so we're almost to the end now. I went ahead and just made all of the color that I had so I could just make a bigger one since I need it anyways. But I wanted to show you a couple of things. So as you can see here, I've combined like a little bit remnant of what was left over on a snake plus a new one. And I'm just kind of like smushing them together. It's totally fine. Like you're not gonna see this gap. And you can also see that like this clay has gotten dirty. It's not a big deal. When you slice stuff, like you're just not gonna see it. Why is that turning on? I don't know. So don't stress about, you know, all of those details of the clay. Just, you know, wrap it up. So I think I'm gonna put one right here because it's a pretty big gap. Wrap this around all of these pieces. I'm gonna put one right here, and then this last one like right here. And just kind of like pressing it in. So I'll wrap this last bit around, and it's like gonna tear a little bit. It's totally fine. Okay. So we just need it to be seam to seam where there's no more black showing. I'm not worried about this. I'll show you what we're gonna do next. So I'm just gonna cut off this excess base color. So now we have like this log of all of our spots. And now we're going to smush them together. So it's a mix of squeezing and slightly twisting and pulling. You see how my hands are doing this? Squeezing, slightly twisting, and pulling, okay? So I'm just gonna like initially squeeze them together. So this is what I mean with like, if you want your final log to be really big, like this is gonna need to be substantial because we're compressing this together, and this is going to eventually be a small cane. Like not huge in diameter is what I mean. It's gonna be long. I'm gonna do a little bit of rolling, move the X-Acto knife so we don't stab ourselves, but we're just kind of compressing so the patterns get smushed together so there's no like weird gaps in the spots. And I just have always made these like round logs. If you want them to be square, I'm sure that you can use your like acrylic guides to make them square. I just never have. And you can always check your progress by like chopping off an end to see like, are your spots coming together? Does it need more compression? I'm just trying to make this more wide instead of long, which is why I'm doing a lot of this action. If you like knew that you were going to use them for small components, you could easily see the difference here. But I'm just wanting to make sure that there's no like air pockets within the layering. So let's check our progress. Also, what you might want to do, especially because it's summer here, it's really hot, is go ahead and check your progress by slicing off a chunk, but I wouldn't go immediately into using this cane. I would stick this in the fridge or the freezer, depending on when you need to use it. Sorry if I'm like breathing heavily into the phone. Okay, so that feels like a nice size. Here's the huge difference. Okay, so let's just see where we're at. So this isn't going to be like a true accurate representation, but it's going to give me a good idea of what is inside. And that's what it looks like. So see this smear right here? That's because the clay it's too soft. And so you're going to smear your pattern. See how there's like one air pocket right here? That's what we were pressing out by doing all of the compressing. So I might just like, because the air pocket travels down this line, I might just deliberately do some smushing in that area. But that's like, I mean, this is what our pattern's going to be like. On the inside, it's going to be like, there's not going to be any chunk here because that's just the butt. We've eliminated that air pocket, and that's what we're working with now. So again, this pattern, as you roll it or don't roll it, it will distort the shape. So do some test runs to see like, okay, if I cut a big chunk and then I roll it, what does that look like? If I cut a tiny chunk and then just barely roll it, what does that look like? Because it just gives you a lot of different looks, just depending on how you cut and roll your pattern. So, how cool is that, you guys? I can't wait to experiment with different colors, and I can't wait to see what your leopards end up looking like.